SK Vibemaker.
My interviews are hotter. Jessie Reyez is back in the building.
What's up?
How about that? Back in the UK.
Back in the UK like I never left.
I feel like you love this place.
It reminds me of home, man. It reminds me of Toronto.
So we finally got the album on the horizon. How does that feel?
I'm anxious. I'm ready.
Yeah?
Yeah, man. I'm ready. I'm ready to have it out and about.
I feel like you've been very patient, like waiting for the album. Everyone's been patient too.
Yeah.
But like you've been very patient as well.
Thanks. I mean, I'm happy that that's the perception because I've been itching to have it out. Like I had to take a for years. So I'm happy that that's your perception.
Has there been like sort of much pressure to get the album right? Has there been specific ingredients that you've been thinking about that you wanted to make sure was on the album?
Just like I'm not a fan of making music too complicated. Like if it feels good, then I feel like it fits, you know? The common thread that I think has been present in Kiddo and was present in Being Human in Public and is present in this album is that there will forever just be this like blood-drenched human element because it's real life, because it's just my real life story. The only thing that I think has changed is that we got more money now. So it's like a bigger budget.
Hey.
So instead of doing like fake strings, if I was working with a producer and that's what we had, now we have the budget to be like, all right, we can actually get it like a symphony and do this. You know what I mean? Or we can actually get a choir instead of just using the harmonizer plugin on Pro Tools, you know? Little things like that are just elevating the quality a little.
So talk to me about No Sweat.
No Sweat is the original song. Well, listen, Secret reached out, right? They said that they wanted to work. They've been fans. And I was like, all right, lit, man. I use deodorant. It's real life. It's real life brand alignment. And they said that they wanted a song. And the way I make music is like if I go into the studio, I'm not a fan of making one song for 8 hours and like polishing it. Because I'm just not. I'd rather go into the studio and do like 5 different ideas and not have to flesh them out. And then like one of the 5, the one that's strongest, I think will float to the top. And I'll be like, okay, this is the one that we got to work on. And then we commit. But then because I do that, because that's the way that I work, there's a Dropbox folder of songs and then there's a Dropbox folder of like thousands of like, there's just a lot of different ideas and different things. So when they said they were down, I went into that folder and there was one song. And the reason I think that No Sweat hits like is resonates with people is because that song was originally written in Babyface's studio. And the reason that song came about was I was walking through his hallways going into the session. And I remember looking up and the ceilings were like, I don't know what this is, like 12 feet? It was probably like just high as hell, high ceilings, right? And a hallway that's like hella long. And you don't see a lick of wall, like not an ounce. It's just plaques everywhere. You don't see no damn wall. It's just plaques. It's such a beautiful thing. It's just beautiful. And they're recent songs, old songs, like it's so dope. And I remember going into the session feeling motivated as hell, being like, yo, I want this. So the original lyrics to No Sweat are actually, no breaks, I ain't stopping till I see gold plates in my office. No, like I don't, shit, like all of that. And we sent that one as an option to Secret. And they're like, yo, we love it. We just want to tweak some of the lyrics so that it fits more. So then I went back to it and I changed some of them. But what's cool is that at the very seed of that song is just this drive for ambition, this drive to see those trophies, these drive, like, you know? Yeah. That's
Settling ain't my language. You know what I'm saying? You said something about Mama Dukes didn't bring you up like that. I mean, that is a very important line as well.
Hell yeah, man.
Never settling.
Never settling.
Very motivated.
Very motivated.
Cheese. And I know that working with Babyface, we spoke about that last time as well, man. Just like sometimes a unsung champion in this music game as well.
Yeah, he's nuts. He's crazy. I've learned a lot. Like it's so beautiful when you can learn a lot from people from like the lessons they teach you, but it's so beautiful when you learn from someone and they're not even aware. Like the way he carries himself. The way he moves. Classy.
You never hear no scandal when it comes to Babyface.
Not even like, yeah, you never do. And like that guy's so zen, so chill, tells stories in such great detail. And like even the little tidbits that he gave me, like I remember once we were working on a song and I was like, da-da, and I said to Melody, and he was like, oh, hold on, I gotta record that. And I was trying to write it down and record it. He was like, Jessie. I'm like, yeah. He's like, if it's good, you'll just remember it. You won't have to write it down. stuck. And
Straight
I
up.
remember watching other legends work that way too. So it's just like a thread that I'm like, okay, dope. And now I can take that and add it to my repertoire to be like, the days that I don't feel like writing in a notebook, I can lean on that and be like, maybe it's not today. Maybe today I'm just supposed to let spirit talk and it'll just write itself. You know? But that's something I learned from him too. He's lit.
So we've got the debut album on the way, Before Love Come to Kill Us.
Before Love Came to Kill Us.
Oh, mate, that is a very serious album title. I mean, that is, I know we're getting that violent soul on the album as well. Talk to us about the album title.
Originally, the album was called You Could Die Tomorrow. And, excuse me, the reason why is because like there's a lot of polarities on the project, which I think is a common thread. It's been common in Kiddo. It's been common in being human in public. I think it's more defined in this one because my concept of love has such a dual existence. And when you think about life and death, it's easy to see that contrast. But when you think about love and death, it's so much different because there's this sad side to love. That's the day that you meet the love of your life is the day you're meeting the person that's going to up the worst, because statistically they're going to cheat. And if they don't cheat and you guys are the minority and you make it till you're old and gray, one of you has to die first. So nobody gets out of love alive. It always ends in goodbye. That weighs heavy. The positive side of death, the positive side is if you keep that mortality there, you're going to move differently today. Today you might confess something. Today you might forgive somebody that you weren't going to forgive otherwise. Today, there's just so many things that you would do differently if you knew that tomorrow you'd have to talk to God and account for how you lived your life. So all that is present in the album. It almost acts as a backdrop to just truth in my life.
I don't know if that sounds like you approach relationships with the most positive of mind states.
I don't know either.
Is it hard to be in a relationship with Jessie Reyez, would you say?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
What advice have you got for like future hubbies then?
I don't know, bro.
Or maybe the current hubby.
Run away. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm learning to love myself more. So I feel like before I would have, like, in all seriousness, just said run. But the reason that I've been so afraid of trust and the reason that I've been so so guarded and all that is because I've been hurt oftentimes in the past, but I know that I can't be prejudiced and I can't apply just because one man was trash doesn't mean all men are trash.
Straight up.
You know? So I don't know. I think maybe just patience and not lying. But what's today? Monday? Tuesday?
Wednesday.
That's how I feel on Wednesday. If you ask me
you might
tomorrow,
feel different on Thursday.
It'll be love
straight
on
up.
Thursday, and then Friday it might be like when's the wedding. So I don't know.
That's that polarizing for you. Get me?
It's a Gemini boy.
This is like our fourth conversation.
Yeah, man.
I like talking to you.
Me too.
I feel like we talk about some good stuff.
It's comfortable.
Yeah, it's calm. You get me? So Crazy. Another excellent vocal performance.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? And I remember like in past interviews you talking about sort of striving for perfection and having sort of some reservations about your vocal ability. But when I hear songs like this, again, I'm like, I don't know what Jessie's talking about.
No, because it took 50 takes to get it
don't say that.
That's why. Thank you though. But no, I'm still working on that. There's still, like, every time I'm done a show, I watch footage back and then there's notes that I miss. They get me cheesed. But those notes that I miss are motivation for me to make sure that I do the vocal coach session the next day. You know? But Crazy was difficult. Crazy is a hard one to cover because that song was a flex and a half.
Everybody can't do this. You know what I mean? Everyone can't do this. I mean, like, give them a bit more of a depth into this song. What do you want people to take from this song?
So the whole reason that we did the cover, like, I graduated from this thing called the Remix Project that changed my life in Toronto. It's an art incubator for at-risk youth. I met a homie that I'll probably have for life. His name's Moose. Moose made music, his producer name. And he went in as an engineer, but he also does production years ago. This I think I was in that project something like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. He'd mentioned one day that before his mom passed away, her favorite song was this song called Crazy, and he was like, yo, your voice would snap on that. I feel like you'd sound sick, like we should do that one day. And I was like, yeah, man. That was 5 years ago. He went his way. He's working a lot with different artists. I'm doing my thing, working a lot on my projects and writing with different artists too. And then things evolved. Partnered with the label, got a little bit more money. So now that we had a little bit more budget, I was able to be like, yo, come out to LA, come work. So I was able to fly him out. We had an off day. So we weren't in the studio. We had an off day in the Airbnb. and he's lighting a white candle. And I'm like, oh, what's that for? And he's like, oh, it's my mom's death anniversary today. And then I saw him on the gram and he was looking at his stories, and then I see that he's like on his sister's gram and his cousin's gram, because they have a tradition of going to her, like the cemetery for her death anniversary every year, and like have a beautiful picnic. Like he comes from a really loving family. He's watching that on the gram in Toronto while he's in Los Angeles with me. And it hit me, and I was like, yo, he's sacrificing time with his family. So then I looked at him, I'm like, yo, bro, I know we talked about this years ago, but why don't we do it? Why don't we do the cover that we said we were going to do? And he was like, word? And I was like, yeah. Like, we had to set up in the kitchen. So he pulled out the mic. He's on the laptop, like in the kitchen of the Airbnb. And we recorded that till like 3 a.m. The neighbors hated us. And then the next day, my management heard it, and they were like, are you guys, you can't keep this to yourself. Like, we got to put this out.
How do you go about balancing following waves and following your passion? Because, you know what I mean, like with your music, I feel like you are definitely quite passionate. But, you know, out there you've got trends which are popular with the fans. So how do you go about balancing that?
I don't like the idea of balancing that. I like just a trend and just kind of just doing me. Because I feel like if I were trying to do that, then in essence that's me trying to keep up with something, and then it makes this theme of my life of chasing something. That's poison, because that can permeate everywhere else. But if you just are, I am, which is soup, like we get meta about like meditating and yogis and all that stuff, but when you just are, you're yourself, and no one else can really tell you anything, because you're just being you. You're not trying to be something else. That, and it's easy because I don't really I don't listen to a lot of current stuff. I think I said, like, I listen to a lot of old. I listen to a lot of Smokey. I listen to a lot of Otis. I listen to a lot of Bob. I listen to a lot of Tanya Stephens. I listen to a lot of Carlos Vives. Like, and
Barrington Levy.
And Barrington Levy, baby. Yeah, man. That's the cool thing about music, because you can, if we go forward or we go back, we're going to go forever. You couldn't live your lifetime and hear every song that's been made, because you'll die before you hear everything. So I think that my tendency is always to just explore backwards, and it kind of allows me the freedom of not risking sounding like a wave, because my waves are back. You know?
And continuing doing your own thing, like, I mean, with your passion, you got your latest single, Love in the Dark.
Love in the Dark.
I like to make Love in the Dark. I don't think that's exactly what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Not. Lights out, curtains down and everything, you know what I'm saying?
You don't like the lights on, SK?
Not really, nah. Certain days maybe, but most of the time in the
like
dark. Yeah, you get me? Plus I'm light skinned, I glow in the dark anyway, so
that's funny.
You get me?
Yes,
so
it's not that love in the dark. It's a different kind of love.
Exactly. So before we get into this, you know, just talk to us about Love in the Dark.
Yo, man, I don't really make a lot of happy music, and I think this one is no exception. Like, it's not the happiest, but it's also like a tender love. It's like that love knowing that it's gonna, you know. It's the purest love I've ever known, and it's difficult for me to talk about when I know I've said this before. Like, I like to sing about shit I don't like to talk about. You know what I mean? But it's just pure love. It's a pure love. It's a tender love. It's a sad one. It's Love in the Dark.
That therapy music. Straight up. It's been a nice chat.
Thanks, man.
My interviews are hotter, man. I like to think they're hotter. Yeah, they're hotter. You get me?
Caliente, baby.
Hey, is that what it means?
Caliente, hotter. Yeah.
Oh, I learned something
Más
today.
caliente is hotter. Más caliente.
Caliente. I got it, man. Interview number 4. How about that?
SK Vibemaker.